and welcome to the ZOOP podcast presented by Jerome Lugo, Toddy Odderwas, Nick Callanan, and myself, Connor Scott. How are we going, fellas?
Fantastic.
Good?
So good to be here.
Mate, I'm so good. I'm so excited. We're finally doing this.
Mate, it's been a year. It's been a whole year since we started this ZOOP thing, and I don't know, we've been speaking about this podcast for a while, and we finally made it.
We have, yeah. Definition of all the gear and no idea, but keen to give it a crack and learn along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, looking back, I mean, Jerome and I started this, when was it? April last year, before the lockdown kind of...
Just about, yeah.
Oh, just as the lockdown was hitting. I think Jerome gave me a call because I wasn't going through too much of a good time and wasn't achieving too many goals, and I wasn't in too many good habits. And yeah, Jerome gave me that buzz just to check in, see what I was doing. And yeah, it's led us down this little bit of a path of the ZOOP Network.
Yeah, mate. I remember around that time, like we were catching up over house party video calls every Friday night, and it was just absolutely shocking. Everyone had lost all the motivation in the world. And then, yeah, we had that conversation. You're like, mate, I'm really struggling. Haven't been out for a run. I know I should meditate. And I think I said to you, mate, you put up a couple of goals, I'll put up a couple of goals. We'll both put in $50. If I can't complete my goals, you get my money. And if you can't complete your goals, I'll get your money. And we're going to catch up every week. We're just going to talk about goals. And then I think we got Toddy involved too.
Yeah.
As our referee. So we're going to put the $50 away into an account that we couldn't touch. And he was going to keep the money. And then Todd was like...
That didn't last long because, yeah, I was keen to do it as well. Because
Yeah.
we're all doing the same thing, nothing. And then it was, eight, nine of us from uni.
Yeah.
All got involved. All being physios who studied together. And we kept in touch loosely, but we kind of lost each other for a while. And I'd say like we weren't really hanging out heaps, like leading up into lockdown. And it was just a piss up on house party, as you said, once a week. And yeah, this was a really nice kind of like reconnection for us, I think. We started catching up weekly, talking about our goals, catching up kind of properly because you'd go into each other's weeks and you'd share a little bit more each time. And it kind of got us to, I guess, where we are now because it just kept snowballing and we kept doing that 4-week thing. Hence we're here.
Yeah. So during those catch-ups, what we were doing was we'd go through the circle, see who had achieved their goals. And if you'd done your goal throughout the week, you had to post a receipt into the group, right? So everyone knew how everyone was kind of going. And if you hadn't heard from someone in a while because they hadn't posted their receipt of like them doing their run on their Strava stuff, or if they didn't do their meditation, didn't post a screenshot of their Headspace thing, you were kind of like, geez, he's gone missing a bit. How's he going? And then on that group chat that we'd end up having some really fun conversations that weren't about the lockdown, kind of took our heads away from it. But then we also got a kind of a deeper understanding of like, really how your mate's going. It was, yeah.
And
really
we also did so much. Like I was looking back at some of our old receipts or some of our old goals, and because it was lockdown and we weren't really doing anything and we had so much free time, I think when we were really rolling with it, we all had like 5-6 goals. I mean, I learned how to kickflip.
Here we go.
Oh, here we go. Oh, look at what I did.
Well, we've got 3 minutes, 30 seconds into the podcast before you bring up your kickflip. I reckon that's the longest anyone's had a conversation with you before you told them.
I mean, other people did some pretty cool stuff.
But I did a kickflip without me top on.
Purely coincidental. No, with that said though, like, Amy learned how to do a pull-up. Les's handstands got up to like 3-5 minutes, something like that. Did I mention I did a kickflip? And we were doing heaps, and we kind of figured that this was somewhat of a winning formula. Like we're getting a lot out of ourselves, like habitually, but then we were also just connecting, like on a really nice level with those weekly catch ups.
And we've just spoken about like the special part of people achieving different things, but I guess some of those really special parts were when people didn't achieve them. And I think, Jerome, you just touched on it. When people weren't actually achieving goals, and you had to check in, and you had to make sure they were actually doing okay. That's where those special kind of bonding moments came from. And I guess that's where ZOOP came from itself, was actually, yourself, Dinks, going through that run and kind of not feeling like you were in the headspace that they were running, and you just zooped.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. It was very much, I think that's where the word itself came from, but it was very much, I think for me, the ZOOP journey started with trying to do my running, trying to go a bit more distance and knowing like full well that I wasn't going to make it, and then having to do what everyone else felt like was stupid things to try and like keep myself motivated, keep myself going. Like I'd do a solid step to go down a different path, or I'd like pretend like I'm tricking myself to do an extra loop or whatever it is. And then when I started explaining it to people, they were like, "What do you mean you're doing why don't you just do it?" And I was like, "Well, if I don't do those tricks, then I won't make it." But that was probably where the vulnerability came in. Was that I've never really told anyone that. I've just kind of did it.
I've just been doing side steps, running 10Ks.
Yeah, exactly right.
Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, so but that's where the vulnerability came through. And then I shared that, and others would share their other tips and tricks, but also like the stuff they found more challenging, and when they didn't reach their goals, the stuff the reasons behind it. And there was pretty much always it wasn't that no one was ever lazy. There was deeper reasons and deeper meaning behind why they weren't reaching it, and that's what helped us to build that connection and build that solid foundation of friendship.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting that you just touched on that as well, because I think by the end of it, like our families were getting involved and we were creating like little groups with our families, our other mates, and by the end of it, I think we had I don't want to say a few hundred, but we had a fair few people trying to do the same
triple
challenge
digits.
as us.
Yeah, definitely triple digits.
And then I'm sure everyone kind of had this experience during lockdown, which was like everyone's learning a new skill. Everyone learned how to bake bread or do something different. And then times kind of changed when we're now in the situation here in Melbourne. It's nearly normal. And it's so hard to now do these kind of goals that we're doing.
I think it's so difficult at the moment, isn't it? Like you've come from no socializing where all you've got to do, you've got 24 hours in your day to make sure that you're trying to do the right things. I mean, we were fortunate enough to keep our jobs, but a lot of people didn't. And so we had that little outlet, but now trying to fit work with friends, with socializing while trying to stay on top of your physical and mental health has just gotten difficult. And I think that leads us to kind of why we've started this is to kind of push us in that direction.
Yeah, that's it. Like, it's been a while since we actually went through, I guess, a 4-week ZOOP challenge and I guess rediscovered or hashed some of the stuff that we were doing early on. So I guess that's our goal with this podcast. If we can bring this to a wider platform and start a little challenge like we did before within ourselves, I hope that we can kind of restart some of the things that we were doing, and doing it on a public platform keeps us a little bit more accountable because we put it out there. We share our goals, not only the first one. we share our goals not only with ourselves but the wider group. Suddenly, we follow through with some of the vulnerability and the accountability stuff that we've been preaching for so long, and put ourselves, I guess, on that podium. So I think that will be really fun to try and do that again. I hope it kickstarts what we're wanting to do, and this podcast is hopefully a medium to share that with the wider community.
Yeah, for sure. I think as well, this podcast is kind of different to anything that's out there at the moment, at least I think. A little bit biased. But
you are on it.
But there are so many podcasts out there that will tell you what to do, kind of how to do it too. Like everyone knows you need to go get good sleep. Everyone knows you need to exercise, try and run, do your gym stuff, or even meditate. And we all know that we should be doing that. But then when you've actually got to try it in a day-to-day life, we already know as physios, it's so hard when patients come back and you've given all these exercise and rehab to do, and they come back and they're like, mate, I really struggled this week. Mm-hmm. And so perhaps this podcast brings something a little bit different where you can actually see and kind of learn what good habits we're trying to create and how those habits actually come into formation, and actually see really what the grind is like, because it's not as easy as just saying, go get your 8 hours sleep. There are little tips and tricks or habits that we try to build on a daily basis, but then to actually implement it is just that much harder. So if people can kind of get involved in it too and be like, you know what, I'm going to try what these boys did, or completely avoid what these boys did, hopefully it gives people a bit of an insight into
or eventually even if they have some ideas of we like this idea, we're trying to do it ourselves, like what if one of you boys give it a crack and let us know how you go, because the whole point is we want them to be on this journey with us. It keeps us accountable, which is awesome, makes us work harder and actually achieve what we want to achieve, but also hopefully provides a bit of that extra motivation for them.
Well, we're out in the open. We're doing this for everyone to see, and we're going to celebrate the little wins, like doing kick flips with no top, but But also we're going to celebrate those failures and actually go into detail on why we did fail. And I think that's something that we don't see nowadays on that social media platform, is that, you know, everything's positive. Everything's, you've got to get your 8 hours. You've got to have your vitamins, whatever you want to call them, in the morning. That's just a warning for the rest of the podcast. There's going to be words.
What was that?
The English boy.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's so many things that you're told to do, but like day-to-day life gets in the way of that sometimes. And, you know, we're no different to anyone else. We have those things that we've got to try and combat. So yeah, you get to follow us and see what we can, what we can't do, and the lot.
Yeah, probably see us fail very miserably, but, but we'll try. So I think the whole gist of the podcast now is let's all put up $50.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come up with a couple of goals. You guys all come up with some goals.
Yep.
Let's share them publicly. We'll even share it to anyone that's like on our socials as well.
Yep.
And then every week we're going to do our catch up like we used to back in lockdown, and see who got through.
Yeah, talk through it, recap the week. Let's put that $50 wager towards a group dinner at the end.
Yeah, down for that.
And another, I guess, important part is that we will be posting our receipts publicly as well.
Yep.
So once we've completed a goal, put that on the socials to prove we've done it, keep ourselves accountable, and share that. And then we can review that at the end of the week.
Yeah, so ideally, if you do keep your tops on, that'd be unreal.
Heading into the colder months, that shouldn't be a problem. Although I do know, Jerome, that you tend to find winter's a good time to, what do you call it, kind of something about restricting the blood flow.
I think he calls himself Wim Hof.
That's it, something like that. Anyway, let's do that. $50, I think that sounds like I don't want to lose $50, so I'm happy to put that up as a wager. And then perhaps to make it a bit more fun as well, if you do miss a goal or you don't complete a goal, you've also got to bring in a beverage of some sort to share with the group, with a little bit of info around it, maybe a few of its benefits or what you like about it. And that way we stay hydrated and
maintain a bit of a slurp check.
A slurp check.
That's what we want to call it.
Perfect.
Slurp check.
I hope
Let's
that doesn't
trademark
stick.
that
I
nice.
really hope that does not stick.
It's a thing now.
Make the necessary calls now. Trademark that. Slurp check once a week. Perfect. Let's put our goals together. I think 2 is probably a good number. As I said, we were hitting like 6 at one point, but looking back at them, I'm like, there's no way I could fit 6 goals into my week at the moment. So I think 2 is a good number. Hope you boys have had a chance to think about some of your goals. Jerome, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So something that I was doing a few weeks ago that I've absolutely stopped doing recently was I was really working on my sleep. I was listening to this podcast, the Huberman Labs podcast, and I shared it with you boys. And he talks a lot about, in order to get your circadian rhythm right, you need to be looking at light at the right time. And the way it's meant to work is if you view light really early in the day, so like low horizon light, your body starts ticking over and you'll end up being sleepy at the right time. And then if you're viewing light too late, then you're going to end up staying awake for longer. So then your sleep gets really bad. And I'm ultra busy at the moment. I've got a few things on. And when I don't get a good night's sleep, I really feel it and I'm just absolutely wiped. And a few weeks ago, I was training for this athletics event and I was so on point with it. And it really helped me, actually helped me run really much better. I recovered
better. Win maybe.
Yeah.
What was the running of it?
Was it the store gift?
Didn't see it on the socials.
You should let everyone know you won that. Actually, that'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're all wondering how you.
Yeah. So
a lot of build up. So
now I feel really awkward.
Yeah, he won the event, but not the main one.
Not the main one. Anyway,
Soon come.
my goal is, because the last week has been so bad, like even on Saturdays and Sundays, because you go out and then it ruins your week. So my goal is going to be, I'm going to
Go out on a Saturday.
Stop going out.
Don't
on
be
Saturdays.
silly.
No, come on. It will be through Sunday through to Thursday. No more electronics from like 10:30, and then view morning light. So like as soon as I'm up, have breakfast in the morning and watch the light. And the way I'll like show that to you guys is I'll do a selfie at night or something like that.
He's already started with the receipts that are involving with the top off.
No.
It's week one. Week one.
Morning as well. I mean, if you sleep without a top on, first
It's
thing in
going to be
morning.
the break.
I mean, you want to get the shot as soon as you can. I get it.
Yeah.
So
Look, it's going to be it will just be a shot of the breakfast in the morning without a top as well. And then, yeah, that's going to be my goals. And I'll do like Sunday through to Thursday for the nighttime stuff. And then morning, Monday through to Friday.
Lovely.
Yep.
Cool.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's do it.
Unreal.
Awesome.
Yeah. Toddy?
I want to go back to doing a gratitude journal. One of the goals I think a lot of us had a crack at during lockdown and found it super, super helpful. Haven't done it for so long. So I want to do a gratitude journal or an entry 4 times a week. 3 things that went well for me during the day, 3 things I'm looking forward to tomorrow, and just put that on a bit of paper or in my notes, and I'll send a screenshot through. As long as they're not too personal, we'll share them with everyone, because I think that was also a really nice part, was reading each other's little reflections or things that you found like went well. So that's number 1, and then number 2 is diving into more of a deep-rooted habit regarding my tardiness, because there'll be a few people chuckling along, I'm sure, when I mentioned that I have been known to rock up late to certain events, appointments, etc.
Yeah, you are a piece of shit.
So I want to have a crack at this habit, because just like consciously making an effort or trying, to alter this behavior over the time just hasn't worked. It's been a long time. So let's try and
It's nearly as long as this build up to this goal.
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
God. No wonder you're late, bro.
It's a real problem. And so what I want to do is I want to commit to being 10 minutes early to work 4 times a week. A little bit of leeway is always good. So I'll just post a selfie at work 10 minutes before I'm there, and that will hopefully translate to some earlier starts at work. And
You are on your final warning.
For context, Connor is Toddy's boss.
we work together. Answer to no one. But I do appreciate that you will probably keep me accountable there, because there's not really any way to fake that one, since you'll be probably waiting at the
Be like a hawk.
waiting at the door, twiddling the thumbs.
Give me that $50.
So they're my 2 goals.
Beautiful. So I'm going to go probably similar down Jerome's path. Trying to get my sleep in check. I reckon I haven't had a very good sleep for a little while now. And then Jerome sent me that podcast, and I started to listen a little bit, and just they gave a few tips and tricks of how you can kind of get yourself a bit more naturally like into a nicer rhythm, nicer sleep schedule. So my plan is that electronics off at 10:30 or by 10:30. From Sunday to Thursday night as well. So hopefully that helps a bit with the sleep. And then my other one is going to be a bit more fun. I'm going to try and get back in the kitchen a little bit. So my plan is that once a week I'll do a different dish. I've got one website that seems to be good. Seems to be easy enough. So that's
Taste.com.
Just a quick Google. No, it's Recipe 10 Eats. If you're listening, hook me up.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, wow.
Just really trying to plug. Yeah.
So one different dish a week. So trying to expand my culinary skills, and then try and get my sleep in check.
No, that's great.
Eat well, sleep well, baby.
I think
Sounds like a plan.
I'm actually looking forward to delving into your sleep a little bit, because you are one of the most energetic blokes I've ever met. So I reckon this could be a little bit dangerous with a full 8 hours of sleep. But yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. For myself, I've just got back from an injury. I broke my elbow.
Weenus.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
0 of 1.
Oh, we've won. Yeah, we'll start that. You haven't had a good podcast.
I'm having fun.
No, so I broke my elbow playing soccer. So I've been kind of
Football, mate.
8 weeks. Yeah, football.
How dare
8
you.
weeks of not being able to really do a lot. So I want to get back into the running. So I'm going to just aim to do 3 runs a week, I think, just to get back into it. There's not going to be any distances on them. I just want to get into the habit of running. Don't want to make it too hard for myself. And then the second goal I'm going to go for is a little bit of staying away from technology and keeping a little bit more active. And I've done, over the last few weeks, that Human Lab stuff, and I think we'll put that in the show notes, because I think everyone should check that out. But I want to start leaving my phone at home when I'm going out for walks in the morning. So it's like a bit of a meditative walk. I leave the phone and just go for a walk before work, because I think it sets my day up in
super nice.
the right way.
Yeah, I
So
love
I think that's what I'm going to do. As receipts, I will post my Strava receipts for runs.
What are you going to do about the walk?
once I get back, I'll take a photo of the watch. So I'll just do a watch
Oh,
recording.
that's so sus.
Yeah. So we'll see how we go. But
Maybe some loopholes there.
yeah.
Love that, mate. And a good chance to check out some of what Frankston has to offer.
Yeah,
in
just
the
moved
new
into
hood.
the new place, so walk down Oliver's Hill, and yeah, should be a nice one. But yeah,
Beautiful.
that's what I'm going to do for the week.
That's a really good set of goals. They're all a little bit different, aren't they?
I like that. Yeah, a bit of diversity, and yeah, super keen for some of those more tasty goals, particularly. That sounds like a good plan. And then we'll catch up in a week, talk through our week.
There's another,
Jeez, two.
Man, are you on through puberty at the moment? What's
That's
happening?
not too bad.
and I've actually put the deep voice filter on him, so you should hear him in actual life.
And probably a good time to wrap it up.
But yeah, so I post receipts. All our receipts will be on social, so we're super accountable. Everyone can see them. If you want to follow us on Instagram at the ZOOP Network, on Facebook, the ZOOP Network Facebook group. Find us on any Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever you get your podcast from. Just the ZOOP podcast, and we'll catch you.
And finally, if you do happen to want to join along on the challenge, I guess, in any way, if you have a goal yourself you'd like to try, or one of ours that tickled your fancy, I think it's a great opportunity to jump along. We happily have you, I guess, within our ZOOP group, and it'd be a fun way to give, the whole thing a try yourself.
Absolutely. All right. Shall we leave it there then?
Yep.
Next week.
Next week.
Let's ZOOP, boys. Let's go.
Let's do it.